This is the story of a king named Vlad. He loved his wife Elizabeth so deeply that he could not live a single moment without her. One day, the king of a rival empire attacked Romania, leaving Vlad with no choice but to go to war. Before leaving, Vlad told a priest to pray, "Make sure nothing happens to my wife. If she leaves this world, I too shall die. I want nothing else." Vlad went to war and defeated his enemies. But during the battle, another group of enemies attacked his wife. When Vlad heard of this, he rushed back to save her, but he was too late. Elizabeth died. Heartbroken, Vlad confronted the priest in anger. "Did you pray?" he demanded. The priest replied, "Yes, I prayed. I am sorry that your wife has left this world, but do not grieve, for she will be born again. She will return to this world." The priest tried to comfort Vlad, but Vlad no longer wanted to listen. His faith in God was shattered. Enraged, he killed the priest. From that moment, Vlad turned away from God, and a dark curse fell upon him, the curse of immortality. But he was no longer human. He became something else, a demon, a vampire. Thus, the world's first vampire was born, Count Dracula. 400 years passed, yet Dracula still waited for the return of his beloved wife, but the world remained unaware of his existence. The story then moves to a hospital, where Dr. Domund was deeply troubled. He was waiting for a priest who soon arrived. The doctor explained, "We cannot understand what has happened to this girl. She was about to marry Prince Henry, the son of the Queen of England. But at the very moment of marriage, she began screaming and attacking everyone. No one understands what happened to her, but the priest knew. He went to meet the girl. She laughed wickedly. The priest revealed to everyone, this is no ordinary girl. She is a vampire. Her name was Maria. But why was she in England? For years, the priest and his order had been hunting such creatures. They knew there was only one way to destroy all vampires: kill Dracula himself. The priest questioned Maria, "Where's your leader, Dracula?" But Maria refused to answer. She laughed and said, "Dracula can come here at any moment. The one he has been waiting for 400 years, is here in England." The priest was confused by her words. He went to Henry, who also did not understand what had happened to Maria. Together, the priest and the doctor searched her chambers for answers, and there, they find a picture of a child. But where is this child? His name is Dracula. The next scene takes us to a dark jungle in Romania, where a lawyer from England named John has arrived. He is traveling to a mysterious palace hidden deep within the forest. And whose palace is it? None other than the castle of Count Dracula. John finally reaches the palace. Dracula and his servants quickly realize that a human guest has arrived. Eventually, Dracula comes forward to meet him and asks, "What are you doing here?" John explains, "I met a girl in England. She told me this palace is very valuable and that you want to sell it." Dracula himself is puzzled. He doesn't understand who could have sent John here. But for Dracula, John is nothing more than prey, and Dracula enjoys playing with his prey. He allows John to stay in the palace, but warns him, "Whatever happens, do not leave your room at night." John agrees, but that very night, strange noises disturb him. Against Dracula's warning, he steps outside his room. The sounds lead him down into the basement. There, he finds a coffin. As he opens it, Dracula suddenly rises from within. Laughing, Dracula says, "I told you not to come out." Before John can react, Dracula's servants and little demons capture him. Now Dracula can kill John whenever he wants. He asks, "What is your last wish before death?" "I will grant it," John, desperate to buy time, replies, "I want to know your story. Who are you truly?" Since it was his last wish, Dracula agrees to tell him everything. He begins with his past, the Great War, the death of his beloved wife, and the curse that transformed him into the first vampire, the king of vampires. But that is not where the story ends. Dracula remembered the priest's words, "Your wife will be born again." And so, he began searching for her across the world. He traveled to every land, every corner of the earth, even as far as India. There, he created a special perfume. Anyone who smelled it was drawn irresistibly to him, allowing Dracula to lure victims and drink their blood. For centuries, he continued his hunt for Elizabeth, but no matter where he went, she was never found. Dracula then realized he could not do this alone. He needed followers. He needed an army. At first, he only killed humans by drinking their blood, but soon, he began turning them into vampires, spreading his dark curse across the world. Their only mission, to find Elizabeth. After sending his vampires to every corner of the earth, Dracula returned home to Romania, back to the place where Elizabeth once lived, and there, he still waits for her. After listening to Dracula's story, John finally understands the truth. John feels that Dracula understands what love is. John tells Dracula that his fiancée is a girl named Mina. They both love each other very much, and if anything happens to John, Mina will not be able to live. John begs Dracula to leave him for the sake of love. Dracula asks him, "How does your wife look?" John replies that there is a locket around his neck, which has a picture of his fiancée. Dracula takes the locket, and as he gazes at the picture of Mina, he is struck with a shocking revelation. Mina is no one else but Elizabeth, his long-lost wife. Elizabeth has been reincarnated, and now her name in this world is Mina. Dracula asks John, "Who sent you here?" John tells him he met Maria, King Henry's future wife, and introduced her to his fiancée, Mina. Maria then told John about Dracula's palace. Dracula understands that Maria, his vampire servant, had found his wife and sent John to reveal to Dracula where Elizabeth, now Mina, was. John tells Dracula the address of Elizabeth, which leads to Dracula forgiving him. Dracula orders his devils to imprison John. Now Dracula is on his way to find Elizabeth, Mina, in England. The whole world, including England, is unaware that Dracula has arrived. Meanwhile, the priest is still trying to understand what Dracula wants. He speaks to the doctor in the hospital when a girl named Mina arrives to meet Maria. Mina is surprised to see Maria, and they become close friends. The priest is confused as to why a vampire like Maria would befriend a human girl instead of killing her. Maria tells Mina that they met at King Henry's engagement, and since then, they have become best friends. Maria had always taken care of Mina, loving her more than a sister. However, the priest is still skeptical. Mina then tells him about the strange events that happened after Maria and Henry got married. A priest had come to their wedding, and Maria started screaming, leading everyone to believe she was sick. Maria had been in the hospital ever since. Mina asks the priest about her well-being. The priest begins to suspect that Maria may be connected to Dracula and wonders if she's the reason Dracula is in England. It's too late now. Dracula has already reached England. First, he visits a church where many nuns live. Disguised, he asks a nun for help, claiming to be hungry and cold. The nun lets him inside, but Dracula soon reveals his true form. His only intention is to kill all the nuns to drink their blood and restore his youth. The nuns try to stop him, but none can stand against Dracula. He kills all of them before moving on to the hospital. Dracula kills everyone at the hospital and rescues his loyal servant, Maria. He gives Maria a task. Meanwhile, John realizes that staying there means certain death. He manages to escape and sets off for England to warn Henry that Dracula is after Mina. The story shifts back to Mina. Maria comes to meet her, and Mina is surprised. Maria explains that she has recovered and has been discharged from the hospital. Mina is overjoyed. Maria suggests they go to a party together, as she is bored. Mina agrees, and they go to a party where Dracula is waiting for her. After 400 years, Dracula finally sees his wife, Elizabeth, now Mina. She does not remember him, but Dracula works to remind her of their love. As Dracula and Mina grow closer, Maria ensures they remain alone. Dracula slowly restores Mina's memories, but she remembers that she is engaged to John. Dracula leaves Mina at his house, but as soon as she enters her room, she is met by Dr. Priest and John. They explain everything to her, who Dracula is and what he wants. Priest tells Mina that Dracula has placed a spell on her, which is why she is drawn to him. John, Henry, and Priest decide to kill Dracula. Mina does not believe them at first, but when Dracula comes to see her again, she shouts at him, calling him a cheater. Dracula, however, reminds her of their love and the past they shared. Slowly, Mina remembers everything. Elizabeth is now fully aware of who she is and who Dracula is. She must go back to Dracula's palace. Dracula takes her there, and once they arrive, Elizabeth decides to live with him forever. Dracula agrees to turn her into a vampire so they can be together for eternity. But their happiness doesn't last long. Henry and his army have arrived to destroy Dracula's palace. They know that a vampire's weakness is sunlight, so Henry's cannons begin to destroy Dracula's house, allowing sunlight to pour in. As a newly turned vampire, Elizabeth cannot withstand the sunlight. Dracula, however, will not let anything happen to her. He locks her in a room for her safety and goes out to fight Henry's army. He kills everyone in his path, consumed with rage and determination. Finally, Dracula and Priest face each other. Priest mocks Dracula, telling him that by turning his wife into a vampire, he is condemning her to a life worse than death, one of misery and torment. Priest urges Dracula to kill himself if he truly loves her, for only then will Elizabeth be freed from the curse of vampirism and become human again. Dracula knows the torment of being a vampire, and although he is the king of vampires, his love for Elizabeth is greater. He listens to Priest and decides to end his own life. He goes to Elizabeth for the last time, and though she tries to stop him, Dracula cannot be swayed. He tells Priest to kill him. Priest stabs Dracula in the chest, ending his life. Elizabeth is finally free, and she becomes human again, but it is too late. Dracula dies, and John arrives shortly afterward. John now understands that Mina only ever loved Dracula and no one else, and so, the story ends. What do you think of this tale? Feel free to share your thoughts. Subscribe for more upcoming videos.